Hello everyone. Today's case is an important one, not only because it is recent, but because the killer is still at large, the police are saying that the public is not safe, and that this individual may be a serial killer. Meaning getting him caught as fast as possible is of utmost importance before he strikes again. So let's talk about the recent events that led us here. 37-year-old Rachel Hannah Morin was born May 20th of 1986 in Dover, New Hampshire. She was one of 5 children and would go on to have 5 children of her own with 3 different men. She had a very close-knit and large family, her sister Rebecca having 7 children of her own. Rachel was described as a very devoted single mother who took care of her kids herself and was a very active part of her church. Her friend Claudia saying, and I quote, "Rachel was so unbashfully herself, witty and genuine, brilliant, daring, and headstrong. Her spirit would light up the room and her smile was contagious," end quote. Rachel also had a cleaning business that she had been doing for several years at this point and was living in Bel Air, Maryland, a small town with a population of around 10,000 people just northeast of Baltimore. And as you can see, Rachel was also very into fitness and tanning, and you can see in all of these photos that she posted on her social media that she took a lot of pride in her appearance despite her very busy schedule. And on top of all of that, Rachel was also on the dating scene. Not long before Rachel would go missing, she would meet 27-year-old Richard Tobin, and the two would become Facebook official on August 1st. And the two seemed to be hitting it off, posting multiple different photos together, smiling and enjoying the start of their new relationship. On Saturday, August 5th of 2023 at 2 p.m., Rachel stopped at the bronzing studio she frequented to get a tan. This shop is called Glow, and it's on Red Pump Road in Bel Air. Later that day, Rachel and Richard would end up going to Planet Fitness together to work out, and then according to Richard, he dropped her off at home around 4:50 p.m. Around 6 p.m., Rachel decided she wanted to go for a run, so she ended up heading out to a very popular hiking trail outside of town called the Ma and Pa Trail. According to The Independent, and I quote, "The Ma and Pa Trail is a 6.25 mile or 10-kilometer trail that got its name from the former Maryland and Pennsylvania Railway in 1950s, and later would turn into a heritage trail along the railroad's former route. It consists of a 3.3-mile section through Bel Air and a 1.7-mile segment in neighboring Forest Hill. According to alltrails.com, the trail is moderately challenging and takes around 2 hours and 25 minutes to complete," end quote. However, despite what it says online, according to Rachel's brother Nathan, he says that this is a trail that Rachel would frequent because she loved going on runs and that she actually finished the entire trail in 42 minutes flat. However, when Rachel didn't return home that evening, Richard and her children began to worry, and around 9 p.m. they started looking for her. They would end up finding Rachel's vehicle at the beginning of the trail. However, Rachel was nowhere to be found. Later that night at 11:23 p.m., Richard would officially report Rachel missing. The Hartford County Police would immediately start searching the trail and all the surrounding areas. Her vehicle would be towed away and processed, but Rachel wouldn't be found immediately. At 1:07 p.m. the next day, a phone call would go into 911 from a citizen claiming that they found a woman's body on the Ma and Pa Trail. Now, a man named Michael Gabrinsky is the one who claims that him and his stepdaughter were the ones that found Rachel's body, and his stepdaughter was actually friends with Rachel. She knew Rachel. He claims that the two of them were helping search, and they decided to go off of the trails to start searching other areas. And this is when they ended up stumbling upon a drainage tunnel that was near the entrance of the trail, and they found the body that sadly turned out to be of 37-year-old Rachel Morin. And according to Michael, it was a very grisly scene. He claims that Rachel was naked and that her head appeared to have been smashed in with possibly a rock. He says there was a pool of blood around her body and a 15 to 20 foot blood trail as if someone had attacked her and then dragged her body. However, according to the Hartford County Sheriff's Office, this man is lying, but they won't release or confirm any information on Rachel's cause of death or the state of her body or any information in general surrounding that. But this man claims that he was there. So take it how you will, but in my opinion, I feel like this may be the Sheriff's Office trying to fix the situation here, considering a lot of law enforcement doesn't like to let information like this out because it may hinder the investigation. It may cause them to not be able to find the correct suspect, because they like to keep information like that close to the belt, because if they do find someone that they think is responsible, they'll be able to use this information to rule out if they really are the killer, if they have information that wasn't released. During a press conference that would happen a few hours after the body was discovered, the police would confirm that it was Rachel's body and that this was now a homicide investigation. And Richard, of course, would be immediately looked into, considering he was a new partner in Rachel's life. And, you know, people closest to the person that is murdered are always looked into either way. But this is also when people on social media began to hound Richard. After Rachel's case became national news, hundreds of people went to Richard's Facebook and began commenting not just positive words and prayers to him, but they began accusing him of having something to do with her disappearance and her murder. And it didn't really help that Richard had a sketchy past that would come out. Court records would indicate that Richard has 2 arrests for criminal second-degree assault, malicious destruction of property, drug possession, and violating restraining orders. He also has been slapped before resisting arrest and disorderly intoxication charges. So it wasn't looking the best. It really didn't. But Richard would fire back, saying, and I quote, "I love Rachel. I would never do anything to her. Let the family and I grieve. Yes, I have a past, but I have also been 15 months clean and I've changed as a person. Please," end quote. Richard would also come forward and provide police with his DNA as well as his cell phone. Now, sadly, the Morin family wasn't just dealing with Rachel being found dead. It would turn out that just a week before Rachel would go missing, her 4-month-old niece had died from sudden infant death syndrome, also known as SIDS. So my heart goes out to this family who not only is dealing with the sudden death of one of their loved ones, but now 2 of them within a week. It's said that her children are sad, they're angry, and they don't understand what's going on. They love their mother, and Rachel seemed to be an amazing, very caring mother. These children seem to be surrounded with love everywhere they went. And on a very sad note, it's even said that they're praying that their mother comes back home, even though unfortunately at this point that's not possible. And yeah, it's said to have been understandably very hard on Rachel's children, what has happened. And it's like a big why. Why did this woman need to be murdered? Why did she need to be taken away from these 5 children and from her family? Who did this to her? Now, a GoFundMe has been launched to help for Rachel's funeral expenses and other expenses that are occurring. So I'm going to have that link down below if you are able to contribute and you want to contribute. Now, over a week would pass, and the public was understandably very worried, considering a woman had just been murdered on a very popular trail that a lot of the surrounding area, like townspeople, would frequent. And police weren't really coming up with much. However, they would ask the public to remain vigilant. They called the killer a heinous coward, and they did increase patrols along the trail. And sickeningly, from what I've seen, a lot of people on social media have been victim blaming Rachel for being a beautiful woman that went hiking alone. Basically saying that she knew she was so beautiful, she shouldn't have gone out alone somewhere like remote like that, which is absolutely ridiculous, for one, because no matter how someone looks, it shouldn't hinder them from being able to go out in nature and experience nature, or just even go out anywhere alone. You shouldn't have to be scared to walk alone. You shouldn't always have to have someone with you. You should be able to have independence. And sadly, in this world, it seems like women, especially, quote unquote beautiful women, aren't able to, because there always seems to be someone lurking in wait to attack beautiful women, or just women in general. And it's sad that I have to make it clear that it is not Rachel's fault that she wanted to go for a walk or go for a run and get some fitness in and enjoy nature on her own. But finally, police would have a break in the case, and another press conference would be released.
Last night, we received critical pieces of information, and our detectives have been working throughout the night and today, running down our new leads. Once the new evidence came to light, Sheriff Gaylor was adamant that we needed to inform our community as soon as possible, and that's why we're here tonight. As you know, since Saturday, August 5th, 12 days ago, the Harford County Sheriff's Office has been working around the clock to get justice for Rachel Morin and hopefully bring peace to her family. Since that first day, over 300 community tips have flooded our inboxes and emails. Her death has grabbed local, state, national, and international headlines, everyone with the same goal: find the killer and bring justice to Rachel. DNA evidence is part of nearly every modern-day investigation, and in Rachel's case, DNA evidence was collected by our Forensic Services Unit. That DNA was analyzed by the Maryland State Police, and it was ran through the National CODIS system. This DNA evidence has come back as a match, tied to a home invasion and an assault of a young girl in Los Angeles this past March.
So it would be released that DNA was found on Rachel's body that linked to a case all the way across the country in Los Angeles, California. And this DNA would be linked back to a man that was involved in a home invasion and an assault of a young girl back in March of 2023. Ring doorbell footage would also be obtained in that case, and the police in Maryland were able to get their hands on it as well. And I'm gonna play it for you now. So at least now we have a bit of an idea of what we're working with here. It also finally made it clear that Richard was most likely not involved because this man's DNA was found on her body. But this now meant that there was not only a man out there that was assaulting young girls, but that was traveling across the country and murdering women, meaning he could be anywhere at this point. And on top of that, police were now beginning to say that they think this man could possibly be a serial killer, that they don't think this was his first time. And articles began to come out where the police were saying that they believe the public was not safe. The FBI has also now stepped in and is involved in the case. Rachel's sister Rebecca was quoted saying, and I quote, "This guy is going to do it again. It could be your sister, your mother, your daughter. I'm really hoping that somebody comes forward soon. Somebody is brave enough to do what's right," end quote. Now here's the thing with this Ring camera doorbell footage that is super odd. And I haven't seen many people talking about it. I've seen a few people saying it in the comments, and I had to go back and watch it because I was confused and they were completely right. But I haven't seen this addressed by police at all. In the video, as you can see, as the shirtless man leaves, someone is inside and kind of waves goodbye to him and then closes the door. So what the hell was going on in this home invasion, assault of a young girl situation? If this man was burglarizing a home and essayed a young girl, why was someone kind of walking him out the house, waving goodbye and closing the door on him? And two, how don't they know who this man is then? And also, why was this reported then as a home invasion and an essay? Why weren't they like detaining this man until the police came and they were kind of letting him leave willingly, seemingly? It's super odd. Now, I've seen people speculating on that whole situation and why the footage may be that way. And I've seen people saying that maybe it's a possible situation where this man was in an inappropriate relationship. And I'm going to say relationship very loosely because I don't think any older person with a child is a relationship. It's definitely assault. So the theory is that possibly this was a relationship of an older man with a younger girl, and possibly the parents found out, and that is why they reported, this man entering their home as a home invasion, and that their child or this young adult was essayed. Maybe the girl possibly doesn't know this man's true identity. Maybe he gave a false identity, but clearly something else is going on there because that surveillance footage is very strange considering someone was walking him out basically. But what we do know is that this man's DNA was on Rachel Morin's dead body. So despite everything that may have happened over in California, he's escalated because there's no way that this man's DNA randomly ends up at a violent murder scene across the country. So either way, this man needs to be caught as soon as possible, especially since police don't believe that this is his first time doing something like this. To escalate from what happened in California to what has now happened in Maryland, that's a big leap. And I also really agree with that because it seems like he has some sort of experience in this, considering he got away with it and he is now at large and has still not been caught. No one even knows his name, despite the entire country being on alert for this man. And I mean, it doesn't help that we don't have a clear picture of him. We don't have a clear picture of his face. We don't know his name, so it kind of makes it hard. All we really know is what authorities have said, and that's that this man is a Hispanic male in his 20s, standing 5 foot 9 inches tall and weighing around 160 pounds. If you have any information on this individual, please come forward. Not only could you be getting justice for a young girl and a mother of 5, but you could be saving a future life if this man decides to kill again. Again, my heart goes out to Rachel's family and her friends. I can't begin to imagine what they're going through. And I also feel for Richard, who was just starting to get to know Rachel and then was accused of murdering her. I can't imagine the mental toll that would have on someone, especially as a former addict. The situation as a whole is just very messed up, and I really do hope that something will come of this man being caught and that this won't turn into a cold case, because at this point, I agree with the police, the public aren't safe. So how do you all feel about this case? That's all the information we have right now, but if there are updates, I will try to keep you updated. And as always, if you have any other cases that you want me to cover, let me know down below and I will look into them. And with that, I hope you all stay safe out there, lock your windows and doors, and I will see you in the next video.